Right now, Hurricane Charlie is charging up the Florida coastline.
Francis is now moving on shore, one of the largest hurricanes to approach Florida in the last 60 years.
Hurricane Jean, a Category 3 storm, coming ashore right now.
Nearly complete power outages and possible injuries and casualties caused by this Category 4 hurricane.
Coastal erosion. We're probably going to have hurricane force winds up and down the coast.
The storm surge had no problem reaching over an 8-foot seawall.
This storm is going to take her own sweet time. The eye is about 42 miles across.
The back end of that is just caved in. Wind ripping through the trees.
It has been a harrowing night.
There are no other storms on Earth like hurricanes. On average, about 5 hurricanes strike the United States coastline every 3 years. Hurricanes cannot be controlled, but our vulnerability can be reduced through preparedness. The threat of hurricanes requires that everyone be prepared to respond. Families can and do cope with disaster by preparing in advance and working together as a team. Knowing what to do is your best protection and your responsibility. You probably won't have time to shop or search for the supplies you'll need. Your family will cope best by preparing for disaster before it strikes. You should readily know the evacuation routes within your area and what shelters to go to in case of an emergency. If you are evacuating your home, be prepared to vacate with as minimal belongings as possible and go directly to the nearest shelter. However, if you remain home, the realization that basic services such as electricity, gas, water, and telephones may be cut off will be the best way to prepare. You may not get help immediately, and it could be hours or even days before service is restored. Discuss the types of hazards that could affect your family and home. Know your home's vulnerability to storm surge, flooding, and wind. Locate a safe room or the safest areas in your home for each hurricane hazard. Make a plan now for what to do with your pets if you need to evacuate. Post emergency telephone numbers by your phones and make sure your children know how and when to call 911. Stock non-perishable emergency supplies, a disaster supply kit, and use a NOAA weather radio. Remember to replace its battery every 6 months as you do with your smoke detectors. After a hurricane strikes your community, you may be left feeling disoriented. You will need to be aware of possible post-disaster dangers. Keep listening to NOAA weather radio or local radio or TV stations for instructions. If you evacuated, return home only when local officials tell you it is safe to do so. Inspect your home for damage. Use flashlights in the dark. Do not use candles.